If you were given the cure to immortality, what would you do with it? Would you use it, or would you just disregard it? Before you make a decision, I implore you to listen to this tale. In the case of M. Vladimir by Edgar Allan Poe, we follow the first-hand account of a man who has witnessed the effects of immortality and isn't too satisfied with what he sees. The story is intended for a mature audience. I've always been a man of logic and reason, of science and math. Religion was nothing more than fairy tales, and magic was just hocus pocus, a trick of the mind. However, I'd be lying if I said that hypnosis didn't intrigue me a little. At first, I considered it nothing more than a simple playing and tricking of the feeble minded ingrates. But then I read an article about a man who came back to life for just a couple of minutes with no medicine, no medical technology, nothing of that sort, but through hypnosis. Interested, I decided that I'd test this theory out for myself, on a willing patient, of course. And as luck would have it, an old colleague of mine, Mr. M. Vladimir, was just a few short weeks of dying of terminal illness. I asked him if I'd be allowed to run an experiment of sorts on him before and after his demise. He agreed, thankfully. A few minutes before his death, I was rushed into his room. At his side, I quickly grabbed out a gold-chained watch and told him to relax. I started swinging it slowly, telling him to go to sleep. When I snapped my fingers, he would be dead. He died immediately thereafter. Then, after a couple of minutes, I let the doctors examine him, confirm that he was dead. There was no pulse, no heartbeat, nothing of that. He was, by all legal definitions, dead. Knowing this, I pulled the watch back out, swung it again. I leaned in and asked him, "Mr. Vladimir, you will awake very soon. Now, are you here? Are you alive?" He shrieked in horror. I stumbled back, afraid, for just a few seconds. Then I asked him, "Mr. Vladimir, is that you?" "Yes, it is," he replied. "Let me sleep." Very well. He went back to sleep. The doctors and I were baffled at what we just saw. This corpse had just sprung back to life, almost out of nowhere. We studied him again and confirmed that he was still dead. No pulse, no heartbeat, nothing. What lied before us was a dead man. So how was it possible that he was able to respond, let alone move? Curious, I decided to run a few more experiments on him. I grabbed out a scalpel and decided to cut out one of his organs, his heart, that is, to see if he'd respond, maybe in pain, or if this is what would kill him. After I had done that, I snapped my fingers. He awoke. Impossible. How can this be? I've ripped out his organs. We've confirmed that none of them are working. So how is he still alive? Let me sleep. Very well. He fell back asleep. I just couldn't understand it. It was driving me mad. Everything I'd learned, all my my years at the university, all my years as a medical professional, were being questioned by what I was witnessing. This Frankenstein to my Victor. I decided that this should be put to an end, but I needed to make sure one last time if he was truly alive or dead. So I pulled out my watch again. I swung it back and forth ever so slowly. I leaned in and told him, Mr. Vladimir, when I snap my fingers, you will be alive. You will not just wake, but you will be a living being. And then he rose up, this time, his whole body. And then he coughed out blood. Pus was pouring from his ears and nose. Let me die. And the puddle of blood, pus, and excrements poured over the bed and the floor. I stepped back in horror at what I just saw. I looked back at the two doctors and implored them to never speak of such a thing, to not tell anyone, not a soul, what just happened. We cleaned up everything, leaving no evidence of what just happened. Many months have passed, and I still think about it to this day. I know that what I have discovered is the cure to immortality, but it's just not possible. Death is a natural part of life. Without it, is there really any living? Whoever reads this document, take it from me to disregard immortality. Accept death as just another way of life. Because to go on living is to suffer more than you really